So I just wanted to share a bit of my experience at Ozora, and it's not a positive one. So be aware, if you can't handle a bit of complaining and negativity, this post is not for you. I just wanted to share this because I think it's also important to share some realistic stuff that's not just all sunshines and rainbows. Alright, starting of we arrived Friday in the evening around 7 p.m. The line was extremely long. This was not what we were waiting for after traveling for more than 20 hours by train. I didn't expect this because I never saw anyone mention that the waiting time is around 5 hours to get in. People were also cutting in line all the time, which probably caused it to take even longer. After 5 hours of waiting, we finally make it to the reception to get our wristband. I was happy, but after a minute of walking away, I realized I didn't have my phone on me anymore and thought that I probably left it there while getting my wristband. We immediately rushed back, and they said that they didn't have it. I couldn't understand where else my phone would be, so I asked like 3 more times, but they said no. It was a big hassle and a really not great start of the festival. So I just accepted I lost my phone because we needed to sleep, and by now it was really dark and we still had to set up our tent. We couldn't find a great spot because that's hard to do at night, so we just put it somewhere at a campsite. It was noisy the entire night, but we managed to get some sleep, only to get quickly woken up by the heat of the sun on our tent. After getting some quick breakfast, pancakes were nice, we moved our tent under a tree with shade. At this point, I already asked several times at the info point if they found my phone, but it was unsuccessful, and I just started to feel like my phone was stolen in that split second I walked away from the reception, which really sucked. In the end, after 15 days, we found out my phone could still receive WhatsApp messages, which meant that it had to be somewhere with internet connection. This was only at the reception, so I decided to go there again and ask, and they did have it. They caused us so many unnecessary stress by being careless and not giving me my phone the first 3 times I asked it. But oh well, those people looked half dead anyways. The spot our tent was at ended up not being good. It was too steep, and we would slide down our tent, which resulted in us not being able to lie down comfortably, so we had to move again. We ended up at a hill near the main stage. It wasn't busy, and we could lie down flat and put our tent in the shade, so we were happy. After that, the opening ceremony started, and it was fun, but so many people. I was on top of a hill and couldn't see much. We did have a great time that night. Fast forward to the next evening. The music started getting really dark. Xenomorph came on suddenly. I heard things like Welcome to Hell or something and things about Satan, which I thought was weird, but didn't think much of it. This was not our type of music, so we decided to go sleep, which we still managed to do even though you could hear the music from the main stage really loud. Now this is where it gets really bad. We were peacefully sleeping until we heard a loud scratchy sound on our tent. My boyfriend immediately screamed hey, and was kind of panicked, and we were confused what it was, but I did think of reading about people cutting open tents, so it came to mind. I was tired and wanted to sleep, but of course my boyfriend was not having it, and we went outside not even realizing there was a huge cut in our tent, so we went to the back and found out there was a big cut in our tent. The thieves, of course, literally just cut our tent open while we were sleeping in there. They could have cut my head or neck, because it was right where I was asleep, which is really dangerous and scary. This was just really fucked up, and we didn't know what to do next and went to the security near the tobacco shop. They said that they couldn't do anything and we could go to the police station in the village nearby. I don't think the police would be able to do anything either, so we just stayed up near our tent all night wondering what to do. My boyfriend wanted to go home immediately. I wanted to stay because I thought it was just such a waste of the festival, and we were just about to have fun. AGA and Infected Mushroom would start playing later that day. But of course, having a broken tent is not fun, and we didn't know if it was safe anymore at the spot our tent was at. The tent next to us was also cut open, and we wanted to wait for the owners, but they didn't show up. We could have fixed our tent with help of the festival workers. I guess they could have borrowed us some tape. But my boyfriend just wanted to leave, and in the end we decided it was the best option. So we packed things up and left with taxi to go to Simontarnia train station to go to Budapest, which was also a hassle because we didn't sleep all night, but we made it and we decided to stay here for a week also because I already booked 2 nights here for after the festival, and the train tickets back were already paid. So we're still going to have fun here in this beautiful city, and I certainly do not miss the smell of the toilets and the cold showers. I am still kind of sad not getting the full festival experience because I was looking forward to it for months. I don't know if I will ever get back at Ozora again, but I will never camp with a tent if I do and come with a campervan. So yeah, thank you for reading. I just wanted to share this and think it's kind of important. Ozora is certainly not the safest festival, and I thought this would only happen to tents that are kind of far away from everything, but this is not true because we were not that far. Of course, we would never leave anything of value in our tent, but to have your tent damaged and someone using a knife near your head is not nice. The festival was beautiful though, and most people are nice, but it's easy to get a bad experience there. Love, light, and peace. The sun dipped below the horizon as Maya and her friends approached the gates of the Ozora festival. The air buzzed with anticipation, the distant thump of bass guiding them toward the heart of the celebration. They had traveled from various parts of Europe, drawn by tales of transcendental music, vibrant art, and the promise of an unforgettable experience. Maya, a spiritual seeker and artist from Amsterdam, had long dreamed of attending Ozora. Her companions were an eclectic group: Jonas, a philosopher from Berlin; Lila, a dancer from Marseille; and Theo, a quiet herbalist from rural Hungary. Their bond was forged through shared values and a thirst for the unknown. Each of them had come to Ozora seeking transformation, but none anticipated the kind they would receive. The festival gates welcomed them with glowing lights and psychedelic installations. As they waited in the long line for their wristbands, laughter and music swirled in the air. It was nearly midnight when they finally entered the grounds, their bodies exhausted from travel, but their spirits high. They felt like they had crossed into another dimension, a place outside time where reality blurred into dream. Setting up camp near the edge of the forest, the group chose a relatively quiet spot. They pitched their tents under towering pines that rustled in the gentle night wind. Beyond the tree line, fireflies danced like wandering souls. They soon made their way toward the main stage, where the festival pulsed with hypnotic energy. The area was a kaleidoscope of color, pulsating with rhythm and light. Fire performers, acrobats, and dancers created a dreamlike atmosphere. Bodies moved as one, weaving through sound waves and emotion. Maya felt a deep connection to the music, as if it resonated with something ancient within her. But as the night wore on, a strange sensation crept over her. Shadows seemed to flicker unnaturally. Whispers echoed from the trees, calling her name. She turned but saw no one. She chalked it up to exhaustion and the heady atmosphere, but the unease lingered. The next morning, the mood shifted. A rumor spread like wildfire: a festival goer had been found dead near the forest's edge. The cause was unknown. Organizers released a vague statement, suggesting it might be drug-related. But those who had seen the body spoke of a look of terror frozen on his face. Maya couldn't shake the feeling that something more was at play. That afternoon, while others returned to the festivities, she wandered deeper into the forest. The further she walked, the quieter it became, as if even the birds dared not sing. She discovered a stone circle hidden beneath moss and ivy. The stones were arranged with strange precision, and symbols unfamiliar and unsettling were etched into their surfaces. Maya knelt beside one and traced her fingers over the runes. A cold chill ran up her spine. Maya returned to the site the following afternoon, this time bringing Theo. His family had deep roots in Hungarian folk traditions, and he had knowledge of plant lore and ancient symbols. As they examined the area, Theo grew pale. "These are binding runes," he said. "This is a ritual site, old and powerful. Someone's been using it recently." Fresh candles, black feathers, and burnt offerings lay among the stones. A crude wooden idol, bound in twine, stood in the center. It hadn't been there the day before. They took photos and returned to camp, disturbed and silent. That night, Maya dreamed of a shadowy figure watching her from the woods. It whispered her name in a voice like rustling leaves. She awoke with a jolt, heart racing. By the third day, tension thickened. 2 more attendees were reported missing. The festival tried to downplay it, but whispers of something sinister circulated. Leela spoke of seeing a figure near their tent at dawn, a figure that disappeared when she blinked. Theo mentioned hearing drums deep in the forest, offbeat and ancient, as though echoing from a different time. They returned to the stone circle. The runes now glowed faintly, pulsing with a dull red light. A makeshift altar had been erected. On it sat a charma, black stone wrapped in sinew and human hair. Maya felt drawn to it but dared not touch it. Theo noticed footprints circling the stones. More than one person, he whispered, and not all of them but human. Back at their tent, Jonas revealed he'd met an old woman near the healing area. She had warned him in Hungarian, "The veil is thin. Beware the old spirits." That night, all four experienced a shared dream. They stood in the circle, surrounded by shadowy figures in masks. One stepped forward and whispered, "The gate has opened." They awoke at the same time, gasping for air. A cold mist had enveloped their tent. The sounds of the festival were gone, replaced by silence. It was as if they had crossed into another realm. Maya sought out the haven, a healing space near the center of the festival. There she met Laszlo, an elder healer and musician who had attended Ozora since its inception. She confided everything. Laszlo listened with a grave face. "This land is ancient," he said. "Long before Hungary, before even the Celts, there were people here who worshiped the old gods. They made pacts, some good, some not." He gave her a pouch of herbs and a symbol drawn in charcoal. "Keep this with you. Stay away from the circle at night. If you see the spirits, do not speak." Jonas grew distant. He wandered alone, muttered to himself, and stared for hours into the trees. His eyes took on a glassy, lifeless sheen. Maya followed him one evening. He walked deep into the forest, murmuring in a language she didn't recognize. At the stone circle, he raised his arms and began to chant. Figures emerged from the darkness, all masked and silent. One turned and stared at Maya. She couldn't move. A piercing cry filled her ears and she blacked out. They confronted Jonas the next morning, but he was vacant. Leela slapped him to wake him. He blinked, confused and afraid. They decided to flee, but when they reached the entrance, it was sealed off. Guards in black uniforms claimed it was a containment procedure. That night, someone or something slashed their tent. Inside lay the black charm from the stone circle. Blood dotted the canvas. They returned to Laszlo. He showed them how to create a protective circle using salt, herbs, and sacred symbols. As the sun set, they returned to the forest. Jonas led them unconsciously. The figures were waiting. Maya held the charm. As she stepped into the circle, the ground trembled. "You are not welcome here," she shouted. "You will return to sleep." She threw the charm into the fire. A scream erupted from the woods. The figures recoiled and dissolved like mist. Jonas collapsed. Jonas awoke with no memory. The road reopened. They left in silence, joined by dozens of other shaken festival goers. No one spoke of what happened. Back in Amsterdam, Maya tried to research the runes. She found only fragment stories of forest gods, hungry spirits, and gatekeepers of forgotten realms. Jonas began therapy. Theo moved into seclusion. Leela never danced again. Maya still dreams of the circle. In the corners of Ozora videos online, she sometimes sees them, the masked watchers. And sometimes, in the quiet hours of dawn, she hears the whisper again. The gate has opened. Long ago, in an age before time was measured in clocks, there lived a seeker named Aranya, born under the comet sign of the dreaming serpent. With a heart full of wonder and a satchel filled only with herbs, copper charms, and melodies, Aranya set forth across the 9 realms of dust to reach the sacred gathering known as Ozora, the Temple of Echoes, Stars, and Illusions. This was no ordinary festival. It was said that Ozora was built by the sky weavers, who stitched the canopy of the heavens with sound and light. Once every lunar cycle of the 77th sun, the veil between worlds thinned, and the great gathering took place where spirits danced, wisdoms merged, and illusions revealed truth. After a 20-day trek riding the bone serpent train, Aranya reached the outer gate of the Festival of Lights, where travelers from every corner of the world queued endlessly. The sun had fallen thrice by the time he reached the Gate of Threads, weary and dust-stained. But fate, ever a trickster, had plans for him. As he received the wristband of passage, a charm woven by fire sprites, a cold whisper brushed his ear. Aranya reached for his celestial mirror, a device given by the Oracle of Connectivity to capture moments, only to find it gone. He dashed back, his voice hoarse with plea, but the gatekeepers of Threads, worn and pale as river ghosts, denied seeing such an item. Despair bloomed like nightshade. Without the mirror, he could not speak to the stars, nor send dream letters to the realm of his kin. Darkness wrapped around him as he and his companion, Kale of the East Wind, wandered into the night with a half-skin shelter tent upon their backs. But the land was wild and cruel in the dark. No proper place could be found. They pitched the half-skin on a slope ruled by the demon of sleepless rocks. The night roared with wild voices, and the sun rose like a flaming curse, boiling their shelter from within. They ate bread cakes from the fire wagon and moved their shelter beneath a whispering tree, blessed with shade. Then came the omen. A message reached Aranya, delivered through the floating letters of the cloud realm. His mirror was still alive, connecting to the stream only available near the Gate of Threads. He sprinted with burning feet and stormed the gate once more. Only now, one of the gatekeepers, half asleep and with eyes full of stardust, reached into a cracked wooden box and handed over the mirror. It was there, it had been there, all along. But this is Ozora, the land where truth shapeshifts like flame. Then came the great shifting of camps. Their second shelter place was cursed by the sloping spirits, and they slid in their sleep, waking with bruised hips and twisted dreams. Again, they moved to the Hill of Echoes, where the ground lay flat and the moonlight danced with less malice. As night fell, the opening ritual began. Aranya perched high on a dune of dust, watching flickers of fire and sound ripple across a sea of people. Though his vision was veiled, he felt the pulse, the living heart of Ozora. He tasted magic in the wind. But as all legends teach us, beauty always walks hand in hand with shadows. On the second night, as twilight gave way to darker forces, the air shifted. The dark bard Xenomorph took the stage, singing songs that twisted souls. His lyrics etched in infernal tongues welcomed demons to dance. Welcome to the hollow flame, they roared. Kneel before the Void King. Aranya and Kale fled the circle, their bones rattled by invisible cold. They laid to rest in their shelter, minds heavy with unease, but sleep was not to be theirs. A sharp, unnatural sound tore the night, a ripping, screeching noise. Kale howled in warning. Aranya awoke, his limbs sluggish. A great cut had been made through the half-skin. Someone, or something, had tried to carve their way in, blade first. The gash lay where Aranya's head had just rested. The spirits of the hill had turned against them. They ran to the sentinels of Tobacco Flame, who stood watch near the southern gate. But the sentinels were hollow-eyed and unmoved. You must seek the guarded scrolls of the village beyond, they said. But time was broken. Night had lost its stars. And so, they returned to their violated shelter. Another neighboring half-skin lay shredded, its keepers gone. The thief, perhaps a blade wielder from the clan of Silent Cutters, was still prowling. Kale wished to abandon the realm. Aranya, torn between duty and dream, resisted. He had waited moons for this. The sacred shamans AGA and infected of the mushroom tribe would soon weave spells of sound. But fear is heavier than regret. In the end, they abandoned the temple, boarding a wild beast, a yellow taxigoat, bound for Simontarnia Crossing, where steam dragons would carry them to Budapest, the city of golden arches and baths that steam with memory. There they wept and rested. They danced again, but with guarded hearts. Aranya never forgot the blade at his temple, nor the way shadows walk even in the brightest festivals. He vowed that if he ever returned to Ozora, it would be not with cloth and stakes, but with the iron chariot of sleep Campervan, protected by runes, locks, and light.